Hey, sit down for a second. I want to talk to you about something almost nobody else will tell you. You see, most men spend their entire lives running on autopilot. They chase jobs, chase approval, chase relationships, and in the end, they wake up one day feeling like a stranger to themselves. And that's the brutal truth. Most men never truly choose themselves. They let the world dictate who they should be, what they should do, and even how they should feel. But what if I told you there's a moment, one single powerful moment, when a man finally stands up, looks in the mirror, and says, "Enough. I'm done living for everyone else. From this day on, I choose me." Now, I know some of you are thinking, that sounds selfish, but here's the thing, it's not. Choosing yourself isn't about abandoning responsibility or running from life. It's about finally taking control. It's about breaking free from the invisible chains that society, friends, family, and even your own fears have wrapped around you. And let me be clear, this moment is messy. It's uncomfortable. It will make some people angry, maybe even push away some relationships. But it's also the moment everything starts to change. Because here's the unspoken reality. When a man stops living for everyone else, he becomes dangerous. In the best way possible. Dangerous to the mediocrity that's been holding him back. Dangerous to the excuses he's been telling himself for years. Dangerous to anyone who doubts his worth. And the truth is, the world respects men who choose themselves, even if they don't admit it. By the end of this video, you're going to understand the exact mental shift that happens in that moment. You'll see why it changes everything. Your confidence, your relationships, your goals, your entire life trajectory. This isn't fluff. This isn't motivational quotes on a poster. This is real, raw, actionable understanding of what it truly means to claim your life as your own. So, if you're ready, we're going to break it down, step by step. Not later, not someday. Right now. And when you finish watching, you won't just understand this moment, you'll feel it. And maybe, just maybe, you'll start living it.
1. The lie you've been told your whole life. Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you is going to make a lot of people uncomfortable. The moment a man wakes up to this truth is the moment his life can finally start changing. Here's the truth. Almost everything you've been taught about being a good man is a lie. Seriously. From the moment you were a kid, society, family, and even your friends have been feeding you the idea that your worth is measured by how much you give to others, how much you sacrifice, how much you suppress your own desires to fit someone else's expectations. Think about it. How often were you told to be a gentleman, put others first, or don't rock the boat? On the surface, it sounds noble, but dig a little deeper, and it's a system designed to keep men small, obedient, and predictable. Most men are walking around carrying invisible chains made of approval, guilt, and outdated ideas of masculinity. And here's the kicker, you probably didn't even realize it. You think doing what everyone else wants makes you responsible, honorable, or successful. But in reality, it slowly kills your sense of self. And it's not just family or teachers, advertisements, movies, social media, and even your peers have reinforced this same lie over and over. They celebrate the man who works himself to death for others, who tolerates disrespect to keep the peace, who avoids conflict to be liked. Meanwhile, the man who stands up, takes risks, and prioritizes himself is often labeled selfish, arrogant, or even a bad guy. It's the ultimate trap. You're conditioned to think the moment you choose yourself, you're doing something wrong, but the opposite is true. Here's where it gets controversial. Putting yourself first doesn't make you a bad man, it makes you a real man. A man who chooses himself is not reckless or cruel, he's awake. He refuses to spend his life living for someone else's comfort or validation, and once you understand this, you start seeing all the ways the world has been programming you to stay small. The career paths that don't excite you, the relationships that drain you, the endless compromises that slowly numb your ambition. Let's face it, the lie you've been told isn't just harmless advice, it's a form of subtle control. It keeps men compliant, distracted, and trapped in lives that feel safe but are quietly suffocating. And the most powerful men, the ones who actually achieve, create, and leave a mark, are almost always the ones who saw through the lie early and refused to play by these rules. They chose themselves first, unapologetically, and the world adapted to them, not the other way around.
So here's the first step. Recognize the lie. Call it out. Admit that for years you've been living under invisible rules that don't serve you. Start questioning the messages you've accepted as truth. Because the moment you do, you create the first crack in the cage that's been holding you back. And from that crack, everything else begins to fall into place. The confidence, the clarity, the freedom to actually shape your life instead of letting life shape you. The world doesn't want men to see this, and that's exactly why it's so powerful. Choosing yourself starts with rejecting the lie you've been told your whole life. Not tomorrow, not someday, today.
2. Why choosing yourself feels wrong. But listen up, because this is where most men get stuck. You've just realized that you've been living a life that isn't really yours, and now something inside you is whispering, wait, putting myself first feels selfish. Is this wrong? And that's exactly why most men never take the leap. They're trapped in a cycle of guilt, shame, and the fear of being judged. Here's the hard truth. Feeling wrong for choosing yourself is the world's way of keeping you small. From the moment you were raised, you were taught that self-sacrifice equals virtue. Think of others first, they said. Be humble. Don't upset anyone. And somewhere along the way, that turned into a mental program. Whenever you prioritize your needs, your mind screams, I'm a bad person. But here's the catch. It's not your conscience lying to you. It's the lie that's been wired into you by the system. And let's be real, people around you will test this too. Friends, family, even partners, they'll subtly or openly push you back into old patterns. They might call you selfish, accuse you of being cold, or act like you've changed for the worse. This is exactly why choosing yourself feels wrong at first. You're literally rewiring your life, and the world doesn't like change. It wants you to stay predictable, obedient, and small. But here's the controversial part. Putting yourself first is the single most powerful thing you can do. It doesn't make you selfish. It makes you strong. It gives you clarity, energy, and freedom that you've never had before. A man who prioritizes his life, goals, and well-being can actually give more to the people around him, not less. Why? Because he's no longer drained, resentful, or living out of obligation. He's present. He's confident. He's effective.
Now let's break it down so it's easy to understand. Choosing yourself isn't about hurting anyone or ignoring responsibilities. It's about setting boundaries. It's about deciding what matters to you and what doesn't. It's about rejecting the guilt that comes with being unapologetically alive. It's about realizing that if you're not first in your own life, no one else will ever treat your life as a priority either. Think about it this way. Imagine a plane. Before takeoff, the flight attendant tells you to put on your own oxygen mask first, before helping anyone else. If you wait until everyone else is taken care of, you pass out. You fail. Life is exactly like that. If you don't put yourself first, you can't fully show up for your work, your relationships, or your dreams. And the irony? Society has been telling men to put others first their entire lives, but the ones who actually succeed and live on their own terms always put themselves first. So here's the takeaway. The guilt and discomfort you feel when you start choosing yourself, that's normal. That's actually proof that you're breaking old patterns. And the more you embrace it, the more confident and unstoppable you become. The world will try to shame you. Your mind will try to convince you it's wrong. But deep down, you know the truth. This is exactly what you need to do to change your life. Choosing yourself doesn't make you selfish. It makes you real, awake, and powerful. And once you take this step, everything else starts to align. Your time, energy, and focus suddenly work for you, not against you.
3. The breaking point. When you realize you're living for others, you know that feeling when you lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, and it hits you. Everything in your life has been shaped by everyone else's expectations. That quiet, sinking feeling in your chest isn't just stress or fatigue. It's the breaking point. It's the moment your mind finally realizes, I've been living for everyone else, and I've forgotten who I am. Most men reach this point without even noticing. At first, it's just little frustrations, the resentment that builds when you say yes to someone because you feel obligated, even though you didn't want to. The exhaustion that piles up from constantly bending to the demands of work, family, or friends. The nagging sense that no matter what you do, it's never enough. Over time, it becomes a dull ache, a voice in the back of your head telling you that you're not really alive, you're just existing. And then it happens. Something snaps. You wake up and realize that the life you've been building is someone else's blueprint, not yours. You see how much energy you've spent pleasing others, avoiding conflict, and doing what you thought was right, and suddenly, you can't ignore it anymore. That voice grows louder, and it's uncomfortable, maybe even terrifying. The truth is, reaching this breaking point is unavoidable if you've been living the way most men do. Society doesn't make it easy to live on your own terms. Family, peers, and culture reward compliance and punish independence. That's why so many men hit this point feeling confused, frustrated, and even ashamed. You start questioning everything. Your career, your relationships, your decisions. You feel trapped between loyalty and longing, responsibility and desire, what you're expected to do and what you actually want. But here's the controversial truth. That breaking point is actually a gift. It's uncomfortable because it's real. It's uncomfortable because it forces you to face the lies you've been living under. It's uncomfortable because you finally see that if you don't take control, your life will continue to slip through your fingers. And here's the thing. Once you feel it fully, there's no going back. That moment of clarity shakes you awake, and you realize that the only person who can change your life is you. Everything in your life suddenly shifts at this breaking point. You notice how drained you feel by obligations that aren't yours. You feel the pull of freedom, the idea that maybe, just maybe, life doesn't have to be this heavy. You sense that the rules you've been following don't belong to you, and for the first time, it's not about rebellion. It's about survival, about reclaiming yourself. This is the moment when men start to see the invisible chains holding them back. It's a moment of clarity, but it's also a test. It's tempting to ignore it, to bury the discomfort, to tell yourself you'll deal with it later. But deep down, you know that if you don't confront it now, you'll continue living in the same cycle, pleasing others, ignoring your needs, and losing yourself bit by bit. The breaking point is uncomfortable, yes, but it's also the doorway. It's the signal that something has to change. You can feel it in your chest, your mind, your bones. And once you accept that you've been living for others, something shifts. You start noticing the small cracks in the life that isn't yours, the habits, the obligations, the compromises, and you begin to understand that this is where your transformation starts. Because here's the truth that nobody wants to tell you. The moment you face the fact that you've been living for others, that's the same moment your entire life can start changing. You just have to be willing to step through that discomfort and claim your own path. 4. The power of saying no and walking your own path. Let's be honest. How many times have you said yes when you really wanted to say no? How often have you gone along with something, just to avoid conflict, to keep someone happy, or to look like a good man? If you're honest, it's probably far more than you want to admit. And here's the hard truth. Every time you do that, you chip away at yourself. You allow your life to be dictated by others, and slowly, without even noticing, you stop living for yourself. Most men don't realize how much power they've given away. They keep bending, agreeing, and accommodating, thinking that's how you maintain respect or loyalty. But here's the irony. The world doesn't respect a man who is constantly saying yes. It respects the man who sets boundaries, the man who decides what matters to him, the man who isn't afraid to stand alone if he has to. And yet, so many men continue to apologize for wanting more, for putting themselves first, for finally thinking about what they actually need. Here's a calm but important criticism. It's time to wake up. Stop lying to yourself about being responsible or considerate when in reality, you're just avoiding taking control of your own life. Stop believing that putting others first at the expense of your own growth is noble. It isn't. It's easy. It's safe. But safety never builds greatness. Safety never builds respect. Safety never builds a life you can be proud of. The real power comes from saying no to obligations that drain you. Saying no to people who don't support your vision. Saying no to the expectations that never belonged to you in the first place. And it's not about being harsh or cruel. It's about being honest. Honest with yourself. Honest about what you need. Honest about the life you want to build. Saying no is the first step toward reclaiming authority over your own existence.
Once you start saying no, something remarkable happens. The path in front of you becomes clear. The unnecessary noise fades. You stop wasting energy on things that don't matter. You start moving toward the life that actually aligns with who you are, not what someone else wants you to be. And yes, there will be pushback. People will resist. Some will judge. That's natural. But remember, the moment you start living for yourself, the people who belong in your life will rise to support you, and the ones who don't will fall away. That's part of the process, and it's exactly how you reclaim your power. Here's the advice every man needs to hear. Stop being afraid of being called selfish. Stop being afraid of disappointing others. Stop waiting for permission to live the life you were meant to live. Wake up. Recognize that every yes you give to the wrong thing is a no you silently give to yourself. And every no you finally give is a yes to your future, your freedom, and your growth. Walking your own path isn't easy. It isn't comfortable, but it is the only way to live a life that matters. And here's the truth that will change everything. The moment you choose your path, the moment you start saying no where it counts, you start becoming the man you were always meant to be. Calm, confident, unshakable, and fully alive.
5. The life that opens up. When you finally choose yourself. Here's the part most men never get to. The moment you finally choose yourself, something shifts in your life in ways you didn't think were possible. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's not flashy. But it's real, and it's powerful. You begin to notice energy where there was once fatigue, clarity where there was once confusion, confidence where there was once doubt. Your life doesn't just change, it expands. When you choose yourself, you stop living in the shadows of others' expectations. You stop bending to what society says a man should do. You stop apologizing for wanting more, and in that space, freedom appears. It's quiet at first, subtle, almost unnoticeable, but soon, it grows louder. You feel lighter. You think clear. You make decisions without fear, hesitation, or guilt. And here's the truth that's controversial but necessary. The world doesn't like it when men do this. People will resist. Some will criticize. Some will try to pull you back into the life you used to live. And that's exactly why it matters. If it were easy, everyone would do it. If it were comfortable, everyone would already be living like this. Choosing yourself is uncomfortable because it's transformative. It challenges old patterns, old loyalties, old fears. But as uncomfortable as it is, the rewards are undeniable. You start attracting the right people, those who respect your boundaries, support your growth, and align with your vision. You begin doing work, projects, and activities that truly matter to you. You develop a quiet but undeniable confidence, the kind that comes from knowing you are living authentically. Even relationships and opportunities shift because the energy you put out is different. You're no longer a man trying to please the world. You're a man who commands respect simply by existing on his own terms. Here's a piece of advice most men ignore. Embrace the discomfort. Lean into the awkwardness of saying no, the challenge of rejecting old patterns, the fear of standing alone. These moments are proof that you are stepping into a new life, one where you are fully responsible for yourself. They are proof that the chains of the past are breaking.
Choosing yourself doesn't just improve your life, it changes how you interact with it. You start living with intention. You stop drifting. You stop reacting to circumstances and start creating them. And slowly but surely, the small changes compound into something remarkable, a life built for you, by you, and aligned with who you are deep down. So here's the truth. When a man finally chooses himself, everything changes. It's not about being reckless. It's not about ignoring others. It's about reclaiming the one thing no one else can take from you, your life. And when you do that, the life that opens up is more than success, more than freedom, more than confidence. It's the life you were meant to live all along.
Here's the truth that most men will never admit out loud. If you've been waiting for permission, validation, or approval to live the life you truly want, you've been wasting your time, waiting for the right moment or hoping someone else will tell you it's okay to prioritize yourself is one of the biggest traps a man can fall into, and it's controversial, but it needs to be said. Most men are stuck because they refuse to take responsibility for their own freedom. Think about it. You've spent years trying to make everyone else happy, living a life that isn't yours. and convincing yourself that this is what a good man does. But here's the reality. The world doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't reward hesitation, and the moment you choose yourself, something almost shocking happens. People notice. The energy shifts. The respect appears. The opportunities come, but only if you're willing to step up, fully and unapologetically. I want to be honest with you because this is where we can really connect. I've been there too. I know what it's like to feel stuck, drained, and like life is passing by while you're trying to live up to everyone else's expectations. And I know how terrifying it feels to finally say, enough, I'm choosing myself. But the moment you do, the world doesn't just change, it reacts. Your energy changes. Your confidence changes. And, most importantly, your life starts aligning with who you really are, not what everyone else wants you to be. That's why I want you to do something right now. Scroll down, comment on this video, and tell me about your experiences. Tell me about the moments when you realized you were living for others, the times you wanted to say no but didn't, or the moments you finally started to put yourself first. I read every comment and I want to connect with you personally. I want to understand where you are in this journey, and I want to help you see that the path forward, your path, is possible. Remember this. Choosing yourself is uncomfortable, it's controversial, and it's not going to be easy, but it's the only way to truly live. So stand up, make the decision, take responsibility, and know that in this moment, you're not alone. I'm right here with you, and together, we can face the truth that most men refuse to see. Your life is yours. Stop giving it away.